behavior is interesting. Commodification, folks. We know what this word means, right? Everything today is a commodity. I don't care who you are in here. You don't have a rare product. Product differentiation is almost impossible today, which means you have to bring in with that favorite phrase, value-added service of some sort to what? Upsell your product. Let me ask you a question. Do you have to have the best product to be able to sell successfully in the market? No. Absolutely not. There is no more product differentiation, folks. How about this? Did you know that there is something called a just noticeable difference? And that is that a buyer will perceive a difference of 20% or more in pricing. Anything below that, they won't notice it. Now, why is this important? Because as you're proposing and putting proposals out there, you're trying to figure out how to price your stuff. We've all been through that dilemma. Where should I price it? Where should I come in at? I'm telling you right now that if it's less than 20%, the buyer won't perceive a difference. If it's greater than 20%, guess what's going to happen? You better have some value-added service to back up and justify beyond 20%. Did you know, when you look at price options, if you give people two prices, two options, which one are they going to choose? The lowest one. If you give them three options, which one do they typically choose? The one in the middle, which means that as you're setting up your pricing, you should think about these things. If you're offering three options, what's your target one? The one that's always in the what? Middle, because that's the one you want them to buy. Did you know that when you do a product pitch, let me ask you a question. Should you present your weakness first or your strength? How many people say strength? How many people say weakness? How many people just won't raise their hand right now? Okay, that's it. I'm unbuttoning my jacket because it's getting rough in Florida. All right. Listen carefully. You should always present your product weakness first. Because there's something called the rule of recency, which says people remember the what? The last thing they hear. Look at Avis. We're not number one, but we try hard. There you go. Absolutely. So always present your product weakness what? First. You got it. Now, let's say you're doing a presentation. Or you're going in for an interview. Whatever it may be. You have the option to go first or second on that day. What would you do? Go first or second? First. How many say first? Second? Still refuse to participate? You would actually go first. Studies have shown that the rule of recency kicks in right there. People remember the first thing they see in that interview. Now, but here's an interesting thing. If you had a chance to do your presentation on the second day, what day do you think you should choose? The second day. Okay? Little things that get us there, folks. Now, did you know that women check price tags more than men? In other words, look at the women. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. In other words, women are more what? Conscious of price, which means they're less of impulse buyers when it talks about real high value. Men will be impulse buyers, but they won't look at the price as much. Good to know. Did you know, I got to give you this. This is an interesting little study. Have you started to notice that you get mints now with your bill when you go out to a restaurant? Have you started to notice that, right? Because studies have shown that if they just gave you a bill, most of us would typically give a 15% commission. Okay? Now, or a tip. They noticed that if you just added mints on top, just one mint, the commission go up. The tip will go up. They noticed that if you put a mint for every individual at the table, the commission will go up again. They found that the killer formula for getting the maximum tip is to do this. Put one mint for each person on the bill. Hand it to them. You walk away, and then you pause, and you turn around against it. Because I really like you, here's a couple more. Tips right through the roof, folks. Why? Because just that little combination had three elements. They made the person feel what? Special. It was personalized, and it was unexpected. Don't we remember things? Because we want the experience when we go to a restaurant. All these things have to do with what? How people buy. Did you know that how you use words in certain sequences can increase or decrease your sales? There's a lady by the name of Colleen Zott. Colleen Zott, even though you don't know the name, you know her indirectly. She is the infomercial queen. And she studied how to do infomercials at night. And Colleen made her name because by changing just a few words, she was able to take Nordic Track sales through the roof. Have you ever heard this? You wake up in the morning, in the middle of the night. How many have woken up in the middle of the night and seen those commercials, right? And you know what happens, right? It's 3 o'clock in the morning, you wake up, you're not thinking right. You see the commercial and you said, man, that sounds good. Now you got this haze going on, you're not thinking right, you whip out your credit card, you make the call, right? Next thing you know, your product arrived, it doesn't work, but you can't remember you even ordered it. What Colleen Zott figured out was that most infomercials say the following. Once they give you the sales pitch, they tell you what? Operators are what? Waiting, please call. Which gives you the visual that the operators are what? Waiting, right? What Colleen Zott did was simply change a few words. Tell me if you remember hearing this. What she did was, instead of saying, call our operator, please call our operators are waiting, what she did was, she said, if our operators are busy, please call again. Because now what image do you have in your head? It's like, man, everybody's buying. I guess I should be buying too. So simple words have changed the sales of NordicTrack. In other words, how we sequence words matter in terms of sales. Now,